All right. So welcome to the Roundtable. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
Doing
Doing good.
good? All right. Let's start with Pagan. Pagan, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Pagan Linux Geek. I play games. Sometimes people watch on Twitch and YouTube.
Raven, how about you?
I'm Perplexed Raven. I move around some circles. I've occasionally stream on Twitch. I haven't been able to get around to it here recently, but here I am.
And Jim, how about you?
I'm a new player to Star Citizen. Started in January, played it off and on, and just learning.
Just learning. Yeah, we all had to go through them steps. She's a very unforgiving game.
I found that out.
Yeah.
So 8 months. I've been playing. My name's Scarred. I've been playing Star Citizen for a little over a year. I also sometimes stream, and sometimes people watch me. Sometimes it's a good time. It's a good time. Pagan, how long have you been playing Star Citizen?
Coming up on 4 years, actually. I looked the other day. Coming up on 4 years quick.
Raven, how about you, sir?
I can't give you a great estimate on that, but it was before the Buccaneer came in.
Oh wow, so that was a while ago then. It was a couple years ago.
Yeah. It was before the Buccaneer. It was when it just released for its concept cell.
Oh wow. I would have to look that up, but that had to be a long time ago.
Yeah.
Were you able to fly outside of PO yet?
I think you were able to fly outside of PO, which I didn't play too often because every time I tried to quantum jump, I would explode mid quantum jump. So that was a thing back then.
Ooh.
Sounds Star Citizen-y enough to be Star
So
Citizen.
I believe you could fly out of PO because I mean I was able to quantum to areas. So
Jim, what attracted you to the game?
I actually signed up for the game back in 2014, but I never pulled the trigger to buy any ships or starter packages, just because back then it was just like a hangar. It's like, why would I buy a ship that would be in a hangar that I can just walk around and look at? So, and then they released the arena commander, and I'm like, I don't know, that's not for me. But just last year, they did a scrapping and a hint of crafting, and I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. I want to go around, find different ship parts and put them together, and do that kind of gameplay. So I got into it in January before they actually released that, and then that's pretty much where I am.
Sounds kind of like Moon. Wants to be a ship mechanic almost.
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
Well, I've played other MMOs, and I usually play like a blacksmith because I like creating things and providing them. And I think crafting actually links people together. It links the miners with the PvPers because you make the armor from the stuff the miners mine, and you sell it to the PvPers. And I think they really need that in this game.
I think so too. I think so too. So what MMOs are your like favorite MMOs to play? Like, you got some good titles that you like?
Well, there's WoW, of course, but what really got me into MMOs was Ultima Online.
Holy cow. I played Ultima Online. How about you guys? How about you, Raven and Pagan? Do you guys play Ultima?
I don't think I've played it.
I don't remember ever playing Ultima either.
It's a 90s game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was when I was in middle school, my really good friend that lived down the street, his brother was like 6 or 7 years older than him. He was super into building computers and playing online and all of that stuff. And one day he was he put down his testosterone ridden teenage I hate everybody thing for a few minutes and was like, you guys should check out this game. And it eventually all three of us started playing. It was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool game. I enjoyed it. It was one of the first games where you could like build houses and interact with other players. It was really cool. It was a really cool game.
Oh,
I think there's some lessons that could have been learned from Ultima Online because it ultimately kind of died out, and it was.
Mhm.
I see the same thing happen in Star Citizen that happened in Ultima Online. I'm like, I hope they don't continue down these paths because they could kill the game, like selling money in game. That's like the number one way to kill a game.
Mm.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Pagan,
Mhm.
before we get to Jim and Raven, what, let's put aside the negativity that's gone on in
Mhm.
the last week or,
Mhm.
even a month.
Mhm.
What are you hoping to get in, let's say, maybe the next year out of Star Citizen? Do you think it's going to continue on a forward moving process, or do you think we're going to still be stuck in the mud?
In the next 12 months, I really, I hope, I think, and I further hope that they have something clicks in at least one of the developers' heads with this entity streaming, and they're like, "Oh, that's all we need to do," and they start amending the code and get it where it works like it's intended to work. And maybe trim down some of these entities, these stale entities, like empty drink bottles and hospital gowns and stuff like that, and like ship debris. I mean, if like no one comes around within like X number of game hours, that needs to just evaporate. If they can do that and help the server load, then I really hope PES really comes in, and then we can start breaching out and enter different systems. That's what I want, what I hope happens.
Raven, how about you? You got some expectations upcoming in the game? I know you said you haven't been playing as much, but do you have some expectations that you'd like to see achieved?
Who's the question?
Uh,
Who's the question?
it was for Raven.
Oh, uh, sorry. Uh, I would like to see more stability across the board, which is not something that I expect to be done right now, but forward moving progress, I would like to see a little bit more stability, which, like Pagan said, with entity streaming would really help that out.
Hmm.
Uh,
I agree.
and I would like to see more progress towards uh, Squadron 42. Because
Yeah,
I think the further they get that out the door, the more they can start to pull in resources to actually start helping in the actual universe and getting it all put together. Because you can't, it's hard to dig two holes and make good progress. You got to kind of slot everything into one hole to be able to push things forward.
I agree. I agree. Jim, how about you? I know you're a newer player, but you've been it sounds like you've been kind of following it for a long time. Where we're at now, do you have some goals and expectations that you wish Star Citizen would meet?
I did say that I'd like to see crafting, but yeah, I agree with the instability. I started playing when it was like 317, and I saw like a 30K once in a while, but lately it's been like you can see like 5 30Ks in a night, and I think it's because of the persistence it's doing, and that we should have timers on things, especially on ships. You go in and the pad is full, and it's like they're just derelict ships. Can we put a timer on those and make them go away?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. My expectations moving forward in the next year, I agree with the stability. What was the other thing that Pagan had brought up? Or but stability is a big deal. You want people to test your game, you want people to play your game, you want data from that so that you can move on to the next patch cycle and improve. And I think stability keeps a lot of people away, along with right now it seems to be like the really big deal right now is invisible players, and it seems like we run into an invisible player at least once every game session. I mean, we had
We
it
had one last night.
yeah, we had one
Mhm.
last night in our group. No fault of his
Facebook.
own. It just
Yeah.
happened. It just happened. So I'd like to see that some of that stuff kind of be fixed, touched upon, worked on a little bit better. And I agree with Raven. The faster we can get Squadron 42 out the door, I think two things happen then. One, they get a big injection of money, which it seems they really need. And two, we start seeing more of, actually three. Two, we start seeing more resources used towards the PU. And three, we start seeing faster development in the PU.
Yeah, fair
That's
point.
that's my hope. That's my hope.
I think just getting Squadron 42 out would also attract people that want their single player game. You get
Yeah.
the people that can have their single player game, and then it gives them a taste for Star Citizen.
Oh,
Because
that's
it'll give
true.
them a taste of the ships, it'll give them a taste of the atmosphere of the universe and what's going on in it, and it kind of sets up the outline of the story for the whole expanded universe for Star Citizen.
Well,
So
there's
the
been the
sooner you,
discussion about that Squadron was supposed to be the intro to the game, that it was supposed to be like the trainer
Mhm.
to show you how to play it, and then once you played Squadron, then you would get into the persistent universe and you know what to do.
so I think if they stuck the marketing to the side for right now and really just push that game out, it would give them the kind of over the hump need that they need to get over to really push that game out and just shift over to focusing on their multiplayer aspect.
Well, as a new player, I know that it was very frustrating just learning how to do things in this game. It took me 2 days to get my ship out of the hangar because I couldn't figure out why the spacebar wasn't working right, and I didn't realize you had to hold it to make it go up. I was like, just frustrating things like that was killing me at first.
Yeah, there's not really, I mean, even their new player tutorial isn't really that good. I did not do it. Canop did, and he streamed it, and it wasn't as friendly as I thought it would be. Still leaves a lot out, and I was kind of hoping that wouldn't be the case. Uh, I know there's there's Sherpa programs within Star Citizen, but it doesn't seem like it's as readily accessible as you would think it would be. Don't you have to go through the RSI website and request somebody? And
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not like it's in game where you can just click on a thing and say, hey, I need a beginner guide. Can somebody help me? And it would be really nice.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice. Hello.
Hello.
All right, guys, we're in the middle of an interview.
Sorry.
Look
Chat
up.
later.
You're fine. You're fine. Ba-doo, 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 ba-doo.
I didn't want to come and start talking about space engineers right now.
Well, I've mentioned Ultima Online before, and they had game masters in the game that you could, they would go around and show you how to do things. You could call a game master and say, hey, I don't know how to mine this rock. And they would pop in and they say, look, this is how you do it. It'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool if we had that.
Final Fantasy has a similar system where it has denotions next to a person's name in the game, denoting them as someone that can do that stuff. They also have an in-chat system built into their chat system, so that if you have a question, you can go in and ask.
Well,
And
they could have
new
done that.
players are denoted too, so that everybody can see the new players and give them guidance as needed.
They could have done that with this new subscriber thing. They could say, hey, if you're a subscriber, you can help people out, and encourage people to become subscribers. I don't know, just a suggestion.
Not to interrupt here, but when I first came into the project, it was kind of expected that those who'd been around for a while would just jump in and help. Remember, Raven?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's also a lot of people that just make tutorial videos on YouTube just to kind of help out and lay some groundwork.
Yeah, we made one actually.
Yeah. And that
What? Go ahead.
and the landscape is a little volatile right now because systems change over time. So some of YouTube's videos might be outdated because systems have changed over time.
Mhm.
And it gets kind of spotty because there's not really a certain framework that we have to go by right now.
Well, I wonder how many players just try the game out, get in, and find these bugs like where the elevator kills you or whatever, and they get frustrated and just throw it away and say, I'm done with this. It's not working.
There's probably quite a few.
So Grumpy, he shared his numbers on live stream once about how many people have used his referrals, and he was specifically looking at it during whatever free fly week, and I forget the exact number, but he said somewhere around 50 to 60% of the people that used his referral had quit by the end of Free Fly Week. So
It's
I don't know. Free Fly is nasty. I don't know about you guys. Pagan, what do you guys think about Free Fly weeks?
Yeah.
It's a week that I would sit out because it's just so hard on the servers.
Well, yeah,
It's
yeah. Good.
and that's not any fault of anybody's. I mean, you give it stuff like that. Server issues have been a thing since forever because we have when Halo Reach first came out, I think somewhere at their server place they ended up having a server fire because people came out to play the open beta for it, and it was just a multiplayer, but that overloaded their servers because people just rolled in.
Hmm.
So I mean, when you give free access to a game that's really popular, you're going to have a server burden that comes with it, especially in an elaborate game like Star Citizen.
Yeah. Speaking of which, before I ask Jim, did both of you guys participate in the launch of 318? Were you guys trying to get in on the day of the launch or a couple of days of the launch?
I think I've popped in at some point since 318, but I don't think it was recent to the launch start of it.
Okay. How about you, Pagan? Were you trying to get in day of launch?
Oh, I have 3 accounts. One of them got in. One of them got in. And oddly enough, it was the brand new one that I had made for the tutorial. And I think that may have been inventory related because there was nothing in his pledge hanger, so to speak. But I know Creepy's been around for 3 years. I've been around for 3+ years, almost 4 years, and neither one of those accounts could get in on day 1 of 318. But I'm like, really? My newbie account can get in? But I think it may have been because of the hanger. But to stretch back about the free flies, I think there's 2 sides to free fly. It's a double-edged sword. One, it's a good chance to get new players in, potential backers in, and say, hi, here's the game. But you kind of have to weed out because when a free fly happens, you get the people who honestly want to try the game, like, hey, do I want to be a part of this?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you get the people who can only get in during the free flies, and the first thing they do is beg for stuff. So you're trying to weed out, is this this someone who is looking to help be a part of the package? And you're watching global chat going, is this person really legit? Are they serious? Or are they just wanting to do fun stuff for 3 days and then dip out again? And the ones that are serious, you kind of want to make an extra effort to help them. Like, hey, sure, come on over here, buddy. Let's put you in a group. What do you want to do?
Jim, 318. Were you there and trying to get in on the day of 318?
Yeah, it wasn't working very well. And at that time, I didn't really care so much about the game. So I just quit playing for like 5 days. It's like I'll let them work it out and then I'll come back in later. And there's the wipe too. It's like, oh, I'm going to lose the in-game ship that I bought and I worked real hard to get to. So I was frustrated at the time.
Okay. So a few of us made a streaming party out of it. Like it was like, I think we had like 4 or 5 guys streaming, and all of us, I had work earlier I was off that day. We had all set everything all up and made sure we moved our PTU folders over and did all the stuff that you could do to get ready for the new patch. And as soon as it went live, we were sitting there pushing the buttons and let's go. And I think it took us 2.5 hours to get in, is about what it took. So, and we were one of the lucky few apparently that got in, because I don't know if any of you guys were streaming at the time, but when I was streaming it, like once it had been live for I'd say about an hour and a half and nobody could get in, I saw a huge pickup in viewership along with the other guys, and it made for a good time because there was a lot of good interactions that happened when it went live, and I got in, and so did Marcus and Canop and them. That's when the ugly folks came out and started getting into the chats. You guys have streamer privilege, really? Really? Me at my pre 100 subs, streamer privilege, really? Go talk.
Actually, oddly enough, it was that event that kind of got me to watching the YouTubes. I'm like, oh, I can't log in. I'm just going to watch the YouTubes, and that's when I started watching Grumpy, and then that's when I found you, Scarred.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. It's been a while. Like, it's been a I've only been here for a year, so I can only imagine what Raven and Pagan have gone through. It's been a wild year just for me in Star Citizen. I mean, there's been some really cool ups, and then there's been some really bad downs just in this year, and it's what's cool is well, I guess it's cool and disappointing is that you have those really high highs, and then you have those just really bad down parts of the game, and I guess we'll get into that right now. Newer player, Jim, how do you like let go? How do you really feel about wipes?
Well, at first, I didn't really care so much because I didn't have so much to lose. And the last wipe didn't wipe my money; it just wiped my ships, and I was just like, that's okay, no problem. But now, I guess if you've played for so long and you grind and you grind and you get that ship finally, you get that C2, and then if they wipe it, you're going to be a little upset. But the main thing that really ticked me off was the bugs. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about the engine pod bug on the Cuddy, but I got the Cuddy as a starter pack, and it's the only ship I had when I was first
Yeah,
playing.
Cuddy.
And I lost both of my engine pods and did a repair, and the engines didn't spawn inside the pods, and it broke my ship permanently. There was no way to fix it other than to melt your ship and buy it back. And I was so mad because I couldn't play the game pretty much because my ship was broken. And I put it out on the message board, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a known bug," and it's like it's been known for 2 years. It's like this is a major bug. You guys got to fix this because for new players, it was killing us. We only had one chip, and it broke, and I can't play the game anymore. So I had to end up melting it, and then I did an upgrade. I upgraded it to a vulture, and then I bought the Cuddy Black in addition to the upgrade, so I could play with it again, and then I had more bugs, and I ended up buying more ships, and hand after fist, I'm already over $1,000 into the game.
Oh wow, that went quick.
Yeah.
That went real quick. Raven, how do you feel about these wipes?
I don't really play it continuously through, so the wipes don't really mean much to me. I mean, I have enough to come out of a wipe and just go right back into it, just sitting in my hangar. So they don't really bother me. But I could see how like lower invested players, and people that want to do kind of the almost free to play kind of playthrough, that would really burn me if I was trying to do a free to play playthrough. But it's it's not even in a, it's not even in beta yet. So I mean, I can't really get upset because I mean,
True.
it's bound to happen. And touching on the Cuddy, that thing's always been a bag of problems. I love that ship, but it's always been a bag of problems. Uh,
But
I
it's a
still have,
starter ship.
yeah,
Yeah.
I still have a C788 ballistic cannon that is tied to my account in my hangar from 2016. Which is really weird. It is just a ship gun. It's from when you could buy the guns and stuff for your ship loadouts
Mm-hmm.
on their site.
Wait,
Uh,
really?
Oh
yeah,
yeah, the 300
yeah.
series.
So you used to be able to used to be able to remove the turret from the Cuddy and be able to mount like I think it's a size 4 gun on the top. So I'd stick a giant ballistic cannon on the top of the Cuddy. That was an old thing, but it always had maneuvering thruster problems even before its redesign.
Interesting. That's wild. I didn't know any of that. Pagan, how do you feel about the wipes?
Well, this may anger some people. Um, I I started way back 3.7, and when I started in 3.7, it was like 3.7 or 3.7.1 or something like that, and they had just wiped. So I loaded in, and you get like 1,000 or 5,000 credits because I use Morse code. Thank you, Morph. And then for like 2 weeks later, I think it was, there was a wipe because they updated 3.7.1. So at that point in time, anytime there was a patch update, it was a database reset.
Yeah.
So it was a constant wipe. So it was a wipe 2 weeks after I started, and then I think 3 weeks after I started, it was another wipe. And then we got into like the January patch cycle for 3.8, and it was a wipe. And then like a week later it was a wipe, and then a week later it was a wipe. So I mean, in the space of 4 months, I think I went through 6 or 7 wipes.
Wow.
And that was everything. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you would ground up to say buy like a Pisces in game, you would log in the next day like, oh, there's an update. Boom, buy Pisces.
Well, that's part of the reason why I started buying ships, because I'm like, why should I grind for these ships if I'm going to lose them on a wipe? I better just buy it on the store than to grind for it.
Yes, yes. So some of us did that because it's like, okay, well, I'm getting a wipe. I mean, at the time, the longest you would go without a wipe was around 3 months or so, 2 or 3 months, maybe 4. So you're like, do I really want to go through and do 0 to hero every 3 months? So you're like, well, let me get a ship I can do cargo runs with. So let me get like a Cuddy. Well, I want to do combat. Let me get like a Gladius. So it quickly escalated, and before you know it, you're staring at this package of a monocle and a top hat in your hangar and going, what?
Well, I got a question for you, you old backers. Were the prices, so you mentioned the Pisces and the Gladius, were those cheaper back then? Because
They
the
ships
Gladius
have
is
basically
90.
no, they maintained roughly the same prices. I think the Cutlass might have gotten a little bit cheaper. It's either gotten cheaper or more expensive. But I think the
Recently it
Cutlass.
went up, but yeah,
Oh, did
recently
it?
it went up. Yeah, it was 110 now, and it used to
Yeah,
be, or no,
yeah.
100 now, and it used to be 90 or 110.
I think it was 110, and that came with. I think it came with a game package. 'Cause I remember
Yeah,
I bought mine with a game package.
yeah, it's 110 with the game package, and it's 100. I think it's 100 without the game package, and they raised both of them, I believe, $5 or $10, like a
Okay.
month or so ago.
It used to be that the Cuddy was like $10 cheaper than the Freelancer. So when I was in that situation of like, well, I need a cargo running ship because I can't haul squad in my Aurora. I was like, Cuddy or Freelancer, and everyone's like, Cuddy, 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 and I'm like, well, the Cuddy only holds this, and the Freelancer holds this much, and there's a $10 difference. So I wound up
Okay.
flying the space hot dog, the shiny hot dog.
So the Cuddy Black starter pack was $115.
Wow.
But
It
that's a
was
starter
100.
pack though, not just the ship.
Yeah, that was the starter pack with the industrial hangar, the money, 6-month insurance, all that good stuff.
Well, that kind of ticked me off too, because I bought the Cuddy package as well, and I'm like, where's my hangar? When I got into the game, there was no way to get into the hangar.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
that doesn't exist right now.
I have a package that's no longer available too in my hangar
A
or my
scoundrel?
buyback. No, it's the well, I still get that, but the Squadron 42 add-on.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah, so way back when there used to be like a demo that you could play for Squadron 42. And it was
But
actually like a playable demo with the Gladius.
but spoilers, man. But spoilers. Like what
Yeah.
changed? What why? Before we get going too much further, first of all, I have a package that nobody can get. It's no longer available either. My wife took that, so sorry, bad joke. Bad joke. Let's
Your wife.
let's move this into that other room. I forgot to move that, so we'll pause here and
It's
we'll move
okay.
that into the other room.
Yeah, just pause and I'll meet you guys there in a minute.
Okay. Everybody back?
Yes.
All
Can you
right.
hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Oh. Yep. There we go.
It's a hidden room, Raven. That way you don't get the badunk, 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 badunk.
Yeah.
So here's my thing on the wipes. I am only been here a year. I wasn't going through a 6-7 wipes in 4 months, but I went through a wipe. I believe it was from 316 to 317, then the 17.2, then the partial at 17.4, then the full at 318, and then all the other ones that have happened since then. So I've gone through a few. I don't mind them too much. I have my Pisces, I have my Gladiator, so I can kind of do all the things I need to do at the beginning to make, a couple 100,000 to a couple of million relatively quickly. It's just that when they don't announce that there's a wipe, or they say there's going to be a wipe, but then it's only a partial wipe, or they just don't announce one. And like, for example, the partial wipe, I didn't know we were going to lose our ships. So I had literally just finished grinding out an A2, just bought it, just upgraded it. I flew it 3 days and it was gone. It was gone. And we all know how much that ship costs. I mean, yes, it's no Hammerhead, but it's 5.5 million plus all the upgrades. So like 6.5, 7 million. That went bye-bye. So that really was that hurt. That hurt bad. But I understand why they do it. I just wish it would happen. And I mean, take it for what it's worth. I know you guys have gone through far more than I have. I just wish it would be less frequent. They say PES is supposed to keep them from having to wipe so often, but I don't know if that's going to be true. I have a controversial question for you. Do you think sometimes the wipes are just to increase ship sales?
Yes.
I think they do a lot of things to increase the ship sales. Because on that end of the spectrum, if you get hooked in, the question comes into play: when is this game pay to win? Because with the wipes, if you pay for a bigger ship, oh, I paid for a bigger cargo ship, I can haul more cargo. Oh, I paid for a mining ship, I can go do these mining orders and make money. Oh, I paid for the biggest, baddest combat ship there is, I can go make more money. So on that scale, it becomes more convenient to just buy a ship to be able to endure the wipes.
Yeah, I got my Star Runner because of that, because I knew a wipe was coming up, and I was like, I need a bigger ship so I can haul more, so I can make more money. So I went to the pledge store and I bought it. I think it was 250 or something like that.
We have seen times where they will adjust the in-game economy around newly released ships under the premise of we want to test that mechanic out. So we've seen where mining ships have just released, the Rock released,
Yes.
and the amount of money you could make on it was raised.
Yeah.
And then we see it a couple wipes later get knocked way back down to put it in line with other things in the economy.
I'm going to predict that there's going to be a free fly just before they do the next wipe. So here's your chance to buy the ship that you grind for so that you don't lose it on the wipe.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do another free fly anytime soon. I mean, they got CitizenCon and IAE coming up. I guess maybe there would be one in between CitizenCon and IAE, but yeah, I don't know. I sometimes feel that wipes are to get people to buy more ships.
Strategic rather than necessary.
Sometimes I don't want to accuse them, but I'm kind of accusing them, kind of, sort of, maybe, allegedly.
Which, I mean, it falls under the premise of you can reasonably see it that they do need to have ships tested with new mechanics. So I could get them giving in-game encouragement, especially right now, for there being, people encouraging people to buy the ships to be able to test them out. Which, I mean, it also falls into the subscriber thing, whereas you get the ship of the month to test out the subscriber bonus.
I don't know about recently because I canceled. I really only get subscriptions for the PTU, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But when I had a subscription, I think it was for like 6 or 7 months, and I canceled it. Man, I was getting some of the, and I know everybody gets the same ones, but they were some of the dumbest ships. Like one of them was a Centurion. I don't want a Centurion. I want to fly a ship. I don't want a Centurion. And then another one was what was it? I
The
don't re-
STV.
yeah, it was the STV. And it was like, once again, it's like, I don't want this. I want to fly one of the ships that I would normally not be able to fly, you know?
Yeah.
But I know everybody gets the same thing. So, I mean, I bitch about it,
Mhm.
but I get it. I understand it. I just sometimes wish it would be a ship instead of a ground vehicle,
Yeah.
which I guess that's a perfect segue into a good question. How do you
Before you
got?
do that,
Yes.
because you raised a good point, and I want to counter that with something else, a comment. It's easier to make money in game now than it was even 18 months ago. So they are
Yeah.
making progress on zero to hero in game. Somebody at CIG, probably a dev, thank you, mystery dev, I love you. You're making it easier to go from 5,000 UEC to 1,000,000. Because way back in like 2019, I watched a tutorial by Hawks Gaming. He said, you can make 1,000,000 in one day. And I was like, no frickin' way. So I watched this video. And he's like, here's the caveat. You have to own a Caterpillar for this. But he did it. He went from running box missions at 5,000 per to 1,000,000 in like a 12-hour gaming cycle. 12
Wow.
hours to go to 1,000,000. And now think about how quick you can get 1,000,000 if you grab a vulture, one full vulture. And I don't mean overstuffing it. I mean just like, oh, it holds 12 SCU, 100K.
And
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
making 100K a day on my vulture.
And
I think
you're
at one
just
point it was
casually
just limited
playing
to
too.
I think at one point it was just limited to bounties. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they have diversified the economy that you can engage in, so that you
Yes.
can engage in multiple routes, which is
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
And I really do appreciate that, because I mean, I kind of get bored of flying from area to area to shoot some poor guy in a Mustang. And they've diversified the enemies that you can come across too,
Oh
which is
yeah.
really nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What question was I going to ask? I'm having a.
You segued and then I interrupted you like a rude person. I'm sorry.
Oh
It's
no
my
no no!
fault.
Oh no! I
I'm
remember. I
fired.
remember. I remember. I remember. Ground vehicles. What's your guys' opinion on them? We'll get a new guy's take first. What's your opinion on ground vehicles? You know, like the tanks, the ballistas, the
Oh,
STVs, the tumbrils, all that stuff.
I will never get a tank. I did get a mule because we all know why everybody got a mule, but it was nice for the clearing bunker missions where you have to land far out and you drive in and do a clear.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm like, why? I melded my mule actually. I'm like, why am I using this? What's it useful for?
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. How about you, Pagan? How about you?
If you have two items in your hangar, if you have two vehicles in your hangar, I would urge you to not make a ground vehicle one of them. If you have multiple vehicles in your hangar, I would say maybe consider getting one in game. And here's the reason why. Comparing UEC in-game expenditure to buy that ground vehicle versus going to the pledge store and opening your wallet or sliding your credit card, you're getting a much better value to buy them in game.
Very true.
So I totally agree. The ballista has its uses, and I would very much love to roll up to Jumptown or a shady activity site of whatever with a couple of Nova Tonks and ballistas and Centurions and just go in there GI Joe style and have fun. But I would not recommend going into the pledge store and spending $90, $110, $150, $140 for these. I would say earn the money in game and buy them. I honestly think they have their place, but the only reason why I would ever consider someone buying them in the pledge store is that they come on a special when you want an LTI token.
yeah.
Yep. Raven, how about you? You're pretty much the same sentiment.
Which I haven't really used ground vehicles. I just don't see a use for them, unless it's like driving up to a bunker where there's an anti-air turret sitting there. I just haven't bothered with them.
But
So
even
I
then, do you
mean,
need a tank to do that?
not really.
Mm-mm.
No. I
No.
mean, that hover quad would get you there just as fine. I think we've loaded up a C2 with Spartans and driven up to one.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, at that point, a Spartan's a better investment than some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it comes down to the size of your ship that you've got to haul around this vehicle, where you're going, what you're doing. But as far as right now, ground vehicles just don't really have a place. Because I mean, okay, I could drive a tank up, but then we hit the kind of modern military theory of where tanks are invalidated right now. Because I mean, all a dude has to do right now in the modern military is to walk up with a javelin and take it out.
Yeah.
But then you also hit the vibe of air superiority that has been a rule of law for a while now.
70 plus years now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, in my mind, they're just not relevant right now until maybe they'll start cracking out areas like the drug lab, where it becomes like a area of a planet is saturated by anti-air turrets, and the only way you can participate is by rolling up in ground vehicles to secure locations.
That would be cool.
That'd be
Or
fun.
maybe we'll start to see it when land claims come in, when you can
Yeah.
put down anti-air installations that are heavily saturating areas that even capital ships can't contend with. So then you'd have to roll up with the ground vehicles to be able to contend with the anti-air to knock out for capital ships to be able to come in and reinforce an area.
Well, when I first
I mean,
started playing, I wanted to do like cyberpunk. I wanted to drive in the cities, and I was sorely let down that I couldn't drive in the cities.
Yeah, that
but
is
yeah,
disappointing. I
but sorry, go on.
good. I hope that one day they open them up. That they have the technology or whatever it is that they're lacking right now to do that sort of thing, to allow us to walk around sections of the city or drive our dragonfly through the streets. I hope one day that becomes an achievable dream. I know there's a lot of people that would really like that. A lot of people that, for as many people as I know that are like, I want to be a pirate, I want to be a bounty hunter, I want to be a miner. There's like Moon surprised me the other night by saying, I just hope that they may let me be a ship mechanic. And I've, all the people I've interacted with over the year of playing Star Citizen, that is the first person that has ever told me I'd rather just be a ship mechanic. I'd be an engineer. Let me fix derelict ships and sell them. I'd be happy to play this game for a long time. I think there's just as many people on the fringes like that, like Moon, that would love to just live in the cities, craft stuff, and sell their wares there. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people would just enjoy doing that, and I hope one day that gets opened up. My opinion on ground vehicles, I'm on record saying this. I feel that outside of the Rock and the two events, well, one's not an event anymore. Now it's an actual in-game thing that you can do all the time. But Ghost Hollow and Jumptown, the ground vehicles are mostly worthless. They don't really have a purpose outside. I mean, if you want to like hold down an area and be like, yeah, you can't use these mining outpost pads unless you pay us $50,000 or bring us free pizza or bring us pizza. There's
Mhm.
not really a use for them. I'd like to see there be more use for them, but there really isn't. And I agree with Pagan. If you're going to buy a ground vehicle, just like if you want a ballista, just spend the 374,000 in game to get one, and don't swipe your credit card for $100+ for it, because it's not worth it.
I think if they were to bring in something like staging areas, like against like Nine Tails or against Vandal, where they've secured an area, kind of like what they did with the floating platforms,
Hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
Nine Tails secured an area, it's covered with anti-air, and you have to go in on foot. If they did the same thing with
Oh.
ground vehicles and set up platforms to where ships could come in and land, and then they had platforms where you could spawn your vehicle and drive in and do ground-based missions with them, I think that would be a great take.
Yeah, or you could spawn it into your ship. That'd be awesome too.
Because then you're adding gameplay loops that add value to the ground vehicles where they don't really have it right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Level Cap, he was on a podcast with some other creators. He was talking about, you know, you could actually build games within this game. And I was like, oh, here we go. He's going to talk about the sim pods and things like that, even though we all know that eventually there's supposed to be sim pods. And he actually caught me really off guard. He said, once there's a few more systems available, he's like, not Stanton, but like, a few more systems like Nyx and Odin and Pyro and all of that. He's like, what if in one of the systems there was a planet? And he goes, and this goes with their weather tech they've been working on. He goes, what if there was a planet that had like an electric storm that envelops the entire planet, and every like hour parts of the storm dissipate enough where you can land people on the ground, like troops, tanks, ballistas, all the stuff that they got, right? But within 15-20 minutes the planet kind of fills those gaps back in, and you can't take off in your ship or you'll just explode. You can't land now that it's been enveloped again, or you'll explode. And the thing is put some sort of MacGuffin or several MacGuffins that you have to discover on these planets, and then all the people that are there have to fight over that and wait for somebody to come in and extract them. Because then it involves it involves FPS and survival at the same time, because you can't just go in there with no medicine, no food, no drink, no water. You have to have prepared for it, and you have to be ready for a fight, because people are going to want whatever MacGuffin CIG puts down there. And I thought that was a really fantastic idea, because then, like we said, we get 2 out of the 3 elements, and we don't have to worry about the air superiority anymore. We just got the troops, we got the tanks, etc., and have at it. It's almost like a battle royale without it being a battle royale. Well, I guess it is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It removes the aspect of, oh no, A2.
Yeah.
Everybody runs.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, that's not.
You got to run a long way.
Well, they're working on Lightning. Remember, was it Thursday? We saw.
Yes.
I watched part of it, but the VFX, so they were showing the lightning hit in the Gladius.
Yeah.
And I immediately thought of something similar. It's like, what happens if we find like nebula and stuff like that, where just flying through it ages or damages your ship? Remember, Ron used to talk about this all the time. I want there to be mining jobs in places where it eats the whole of your ship.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I said in one of the chats, I want to fly through a storm just so that I can just navigate through it and see if I could do it.
Because I mean, they could set up areas just in the general where, I mean, you can't. It could quantum lock an area, because it could be the corrosive cloud.
Yeah,
Corrosive
EMP
dust
from
cloud
the
moving through
storm.
space. Because I mean, you could have superheated storms, corrosive clouds. There's all kinds of hazards that could be out there.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
the special suits too, because I mean, if you exit your ship, sorry, that little white noob suit ain't gonna last long.
Oh no, that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
So
when they set up job mechanics, sorry,
no, you're fine.
which, like Moon being a mechanic, I bought a javelin just to set it up as a sitting outpost for salvage and repair. That's what I set it up for.
That's cool. That's cool.
I've seen people use 890 jumps as bases, since you have a med bed in it, so that they'll make a base out of it.
Yeah, the carrot too.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna stop cutting you off.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, I mean, we got a lot of people in here. It's bound to happen. I'm not upset about it. My feelings. I'm not going to go after this and write in my tear-soaked diary. Dear diary, Raven cut me off and made me cry again.
It upsets me. It makes me feel rude, so I have to stop myself.
You're good. You're good, man. You're good. What was the question I was going to ask? I was how do you guys feel about? So we sit here and we do a lot of theory crafting, and we do a lot of, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, or when they add this. Has this been, this is more for the older backers, not so much the newer backers. Has this been going on since the Kickstarter, since everybody had bought into this?
Yep.
This has been going on. Have they ever really given a clear vision as far as like where they really want this to go to? Or has it always just been, let's grab a little bit of this, let's grab a little bit of this, let's introduce this at tier 0 or tier 1, and then move on and start trying to grab the next thing? Is it always been like this?
Raven, you want to chime in first, or?
It has. I mean, it really has, because then they'll change things, and they'll go, oh well, we're gonna start working on this because this works along with this tech, So we're gonna work along with this because I mean we've been waiting for uh just life support kind of systems for a while now. Just air moving in and out of ships. That's been waiting for a while. Uh,
Mm.
dock port or docking with the ships to ports that had been in for a while because I mean that's been in concept ever since the Cuddy first came out. Because
Mhm.
the side doors on the Cuddy they were changed over to the slide open doors. Those used to be docking
Yeah,
collars
yeah, I remember
to
seeing
dock on
those
side.
concepts.
It used to have a it also used to have portcullises on the bottom and top of the floor on the Cuddy,
Oh, wow.
so that you could open it up and go in through the top or the bottom. We still see them on the Retaliator.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So I mean, things have been changing for a while now, and they've been changing it up, and they do make progress. And
Mhm.
it's never been clear where they're going with some stuff because it could be right around the corner, or they could go, "Oh, hey, we're gonna go work on this," and then they come back around to working on the older stuff. So I mean, it just kind of it varies.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't, and I mean, there is a lot of stuff for them to work on,
true.
and so I mean, I get sometimes they have resources that need to be allocated out, sometimes they don't. It really falls in line with if they pushed out the Squadron 42 and get all those systems out, then they could come back into the multiplayer, which would have, the mining systems and all that in play,
Mhm.
which they pushed ahead the mining stuff. But if they
Can I
got
ask
the
can
go
I
for it.
ask a question of the older backers? Because I was just kind of curious. Why did you get into the game? What was it that drew you to the game?
I like the ship physics. I really like the ship physics. Uh, and Pagan knows this. I like to pilot the hammerhead like a hammerhead. Uh, when I'm in the hammerhead, everything else is a nail. I like to ram it into stuff and just watch the debris scatter across the hammerhead.
And
Ship
see,
porn.
that's probably the reason why I didn't get into it right away. Because I'm like, okay, flying ships around, that's okay, but that's not my cup of tea. I want to see other things.
Y- You want to see Raven happy? Put him in the pilot seat of a hammerhead with a fully crewed turret crew, and I guarantee you will hear the words "ram it" at least twice.
Well, I, th- I think everybody has different expectations of the game. Like, I've been in arguments with people that are like, no, we don't want crafting. We want it to be PvP. And crafting's for Care Bears, and then there's other people that want that stuff.
Pagan,
Mhm.
why did you get into the game? So Jim can hear your opinion or your
Mhm.
experience.
Okay. I got into it because it was a chance to be a spaceman. I born in the 70s, grew up in the 70s and the 80s when a lot of us nerds, because they didn't call us geeks yet, they called us nerds. Um, wanted to go into space, wanted to put boot prints on Mars, go fly around and see what it was like on Titan or Europa.
Exploration.
Absolutely, put boots on the ground. Hey, meet a Martian and say hi.
See, I
Something
love the
like that.
exploration. I
Yeah.
want to do the exploration.
But to expound on what Raven said previously, I think what's happening, I don't know, I'm guessing here. I think what's happening is that Star Citizen is going to be Chris Roberts' magnum opus. That's the way he perceives it. I honestly think he perceives Star Citizen as his magnum opus. So he wants to get everything in it, all of his hopes and dreams and ambitions rolled up into one package. Well, what I think is causing these development shifts is that he starts down a path, comes up with something, gets an idea, and says, "I'd love to do that one day," and then something else fires off. He says, "Maybe I can go do this." So he like, okay, let's investigate. What can we do? Let's work towards this goal. So I think he's trying to throw everything in. I honestly think this will probably be his last space game he ever makes. And I think because of that, he's trying to squeeze everything in, but maybe that's causing the development to kind of like meander a little bit. Honestly, that's what I think.
I think that makes the game both bad and good. It makes it bad because it's never
Mhm.
going to get completed because there's all these different ideas, but it's great because there's so many possibilities. It's kind of I'm still in the honeymoon period. I kind of like the game because I'm looking at all the possibilities.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, I do have to get going in like 45 minutes ish. So I was thinking, we've built up the game. We've talked about all the goods and a little bit of the bad. Let's talk about, unfortunately, some of the bad that comes with Star Citizen and CIG. Um, Jim, how do you feel about the pledge model, buying ships and ground vehicles and things like that? How do you feel about that funding model?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I mean, I first started trying to grind for the ships, and it's like it's going to take me forever just to get a C2, so I can do the cargo runs and make actual profit. Because right now I'm doing deliveries for 3,000 ECU. It wasn't getting it, and it's like I want to try to start doing other things. How do I get into the next level? So that's kind of nice. I can go buy something on their site, but then they restrict what ships you can buy unless they're having an event, and it's like, I don't know. I have mixed feelings.
Okay.
Mhm.
Pagan, how do you feel about the funding model as it stands? Well, not just the ship stuff. We won't get into the other stuff yet.
Oh, the ships? Well, I think if you want to continue to sell a ship at the price point that you set for it, you have to keep your consumers feeling that that is a bargain, whether it's a bargain for time or bargain for price. So if you want to keep selling, okay, we'll just say the Saber. You want to keep selling the base model Saber at $170 US in the pledge store. You need to make the person who wants to buy that want to buy it, number one. And one of the best ways to do that is to make it a limited time sale. And you also have to make sure that there's a place in game for them to use that ship. And you have to limit their availability options. Because why would they buy it from you for 170 if somebody who backed a project a year ago and decided he changed his mind and would rather go play WoW the rest of his life wants to sell it to you for $80? So I think that's the reason why you're seeing the limited time offers on that stuff. And there are certain ships that are only available one time a year. One time. You'll never see them available during Invictus. You'll never see them available at any of the other ship sale events. They're only available in November for a very limited time. And I don't mean just the capital ships,
Mm-hmm.
just odd little ships. And the reason for that is so ooh, they have to perceive that it's a bargain. It's cheaper for me to buy this ship right now in the pledge store for 150 than it is to grind for a week or 2 weeks. But remember earlier we said that it was getting easier. Well, I said that I felt it was getting easier to earn money in game now. So they're trying to find another way to make that ship look more valuable and appeasing to you. And I'm sorry, not appeasing, but appealing to you. So they're trying to find a way to make sure that when you see that $170 ship become available once or twice a year, you jump on it.
Really kicking into that FOMO.
FOMO. That's
Yeah,
I'd
Yep.
say most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm addicted.
I agree with the FOMO. I think it's a very real thing, and I think I don't want to be out of line, but the people that have FOMO the worst also seem like they struggle with like, if I'm not saying they do, but if you were to get them in a casino, like they would quickly get into that. Like, I got to
Mm.
spend more to get more. I got to spend more to get
Mhm.
more. I got to spend more to get
Yeah.
more.
Mhm.
I think they really kind of tapped into that kind of mindset. I like I said, I could be speaking out of line. I don't know, but it really, some of the FOMO stuff, like, really, like, I don't want to say aggravates me, but it's like, I guess I don't look forward to spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a ship. I don't know.
Mhm.
Some of them I do. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I would love to have $750 to throw at an A2, but it's just not going to happen anytime soon.
It's it's
No.
it's really hard to take that step back and go, man, did I just buy into an NFT game where I got my digital ship and might
I-
never get to fly it.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
'Cause, I
have to
mean,
bear in mind that whenever you cruise when you cruise the pledge pages, the pledge store pages, the pages are set up in a way where they're not just, oh, hi, here's a digital asset for a mystery game you're playing. They are marketed and the pictures are there. All the media is there. All the copy is there to present that more as a unlock key.
Like the armor.
Well,
Um,
it is presented in a way, in my opinion, presented in a way where you view that, where it's highly likely you're going to view that as an unlock to get into something new in the game that you couldn't get into before, or it was too hard to get into before.
yeah,
Well, that's the thing. I feel like the older players have advantages, and I can't team up with them because I don't have the ships that they have. So I want to go out and buy ships so I can catch up, so I can do the team plays with them.
Hit us up because us older players that have these ships, have multi-crew ships, more often than not are looking for escorts or looking for crew members. How many times have I gone up there and said, "Hi, I love to take the reclaimer out, but I need 3 people to go with me." Hit
it's
us
true.
up, dude. Us older players are always looking for crew or escorts.
I guess that segues into another really good question. Raven kind of brought it. It was either Raven or Jim brought it up. Is Star Citizen pay to win, or better yet, is pay to advanced creeping into pay to win? Anybody can start with that one, I guess.
Yes.
Pagan, yes.
I
mean,
mean, we just said it.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point it hits. I mean, I've got a javelin. I mean, as soon as I get that in the game, what
I need one
where
question answered before I can answer that. What is winning in Star Citizen? Is it just getting
yeah,
money?
Mm-mm.
yeah.
No, no. Money is easy to get in Star Citizen. I don't think it's money at all. I think
It's
winning in Star Citizen was what happened last night.
Yeah,
I
well, go ahead.
I don't think it's so much about winning in Star Citizen as it is being able to set up your area of play. It's being able to set up what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
and being able to just go do it. Oh
Well,
man, we got a couple friends that want to go toss balls. Let's go set up our area and go toss balls.
I was on
We got
Spectrum and somebody put out a post saying, "Is the game boring?" And they were talking about how the bunkers are so easy and this and that. And I responded saying, "Stop doing the mission command, the mission manager. Go out, make your own gameplay. It'll stop being boring really fast."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I
it's like
mean,
that intro.
and even doing something as simple as bunkers, like even if like you're, look, it's we just wiped yesterday. I need money. I want my A2. My buddy wants his I don't know. He wants his Redeemer or whatever it is. Both of those are really expensive ships. Even if we're legitimately going down into those bunkers to grind them out as fast as we can, only grab the minimal loot that's worth something and get out and go start the next one. That's far more fun than going down into that bunker by yourself, grabbing what you need, hitting the elevator back out, grabbing the next one, and going. It gets so mundane and so boring. And I feel it's the same with many of the game loops. Yeah, sure, going out in a prospector and cracking some rocks and whatnot is fun, but if you can get 2 or 3 of your buddies to hang out with you in a mole or several prospectors and go out there and crack rocks and have a few laughs and tell each other some jokes and talk trash to each other when somebody blows himself up with a rock, I find that fun. And I, I I don't know, and I think that goes back to the stability thing that cuts into our fun. But we it seems like the older that, I don't want to say older, the people that have been playing the longest seem to have found that formula. Like we just got to go and make our own fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we can't wait for CIG to put in a mission that's fun. Let's just go do something that we think is fun. Or this would be cool if we did this. Do we know if it works? I don't know. Let's go find out.
Well, we had
Exactly.
to. We had to
It,
because we didn't have those options.
it
We didn't
hits
have
that
missions.
point of make friends, do stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Set your goals, make your friends, go do your stuff. If you want to win, air quotes win, a single player games where you're at, arena commanders where you're at. uh, and it just because I mean you're not in it to win. You're not in it to stand at the pinnacle and be above everybody else. No, you're there to go set your goals, go do your stuff, and play around with friends and make memories.
Hmm.
That's where it sets at. Because
So
I mean
then
that's
I would say no, it's not pay to win then. Then, how are you getting an advantage doing that? By buying something.
So here's my opinion on it. Right now, there's a pay to advance, but I do think that eventually when the game releases and there's no more wipes and there's no more, dare I say, bugs, dare I say 30Ks and instability, the people that have been along the ride for the 36 years the game has been in development at that point, they're going to have the advantage because they have all the ships. Some, I'm not saying any of you guys, some have bought the money off the page and had been doing so for years. When that day comes, they're going to be compared to the average player that might have, a couple million, a couple of decent ships. They're going to have an armada at their disposal. They might have land already purchased. They could have millions upon millions of alpha or UEC laying around ready to go. So as soon as the game goes, and I mean, as soon as the game goes, they're going to be able to build bases. They're going to have, they're going to have everything they need. And if there is base rating and all of that stuff, nobody's going to be able to touch them. It's going to take a super org to touch them, and then we're going to start getting into Eve levels of stuff where you have super orgs versus super orgs. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where it ends up going. But I do think right now it's pay to advance or pay to not get wiped so hard, I guess.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm buying stuff instead of grinding for it, because I didn't want to get it wiped.
But
I
bear
think
this in mind.
later
Go ahead, Raven,
I
please.
think later when we see the full release, we probably won't see too many long-term backers with the Armada.
You don't
Because
think so?
they might play initially, but if they have nothing to build towards or something,
Yes.
except for logging in every now and then to play with friends, we probably won't see too many super works built out of long-term backers
Okay.
because they won't have the initiative to grind out the ships. Oh man, I want to try this out. They'll just go, "Oh, I can pull that out of my hangar anytime I want to." It burns away some of the enjoyment of the grind, the reason that you stay there. Because I mean, if you're not there, because they'll probably show up to play with friends whenever a
Mhm.
friend calls them, like, "Hey, we're gonna go do this thing. Do you want to come with us?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, you need a reason. You
Because
need
I
a
mean,
reason.
it's going to be the community that keeps you in the game, the
Mhm.
people that you play with that keep you in the game, not the buying the ships. Because if one person has the ship, then six other people have access to that ship. Not everybody has to have access to that ship, but some people might want to have access to different ships. But I mean, if you've bought it, what's the what's the chance they stay long term?
That's a good
Well,
point. I didn't really think about that.
some of us are planning our hangar out for that,
Yeah, I have.
eventually. My Raven, yeah, I mean Raven's right there with us. We've been playing together for years, but Raven would remember Murd. Murd and I sat down for months. Okay, this is what we want to do when the final product comes out. What do we need to do that? Okay, well, we're going to need this and this and this to get this loop covered. We need this and this and this to get that loop covered. What about security? We need this and this and this to get that loop covered. And it's like, okay, well, obviously both of us are not last name McDuck, so we can't afford to buy all this stuff. So it's like, let's divide this out. I'll get this and this, you get this and this. Raven's going to get this and this. So it was meant to be a collaborative groove effort. Now, I mean, I'm sure there are space whales out there who are like, I'll just buy everything that's available. But just like, just like you said, you're going to get bored. But there's some of us that have been out there. Is like, I want to do this play loop. I want to do this. I want to generate a mining empire. I want to generate a cargo transport empire. I want a security organization here. I want to have clandestine ops. So you kind of like pick out what do I need to make that go. So I think there are some long term and some long thinkers that are coming in for this. but they're going to need support. They're going to need help because if you get little old Scrooge McDuck sitting in there in his little castle, eventually he's going to get overrun. He's not going to log in. She's not going to log in for a while. And you're going to get groups like, hey, that's a cool base. I want it. And they get people together, and you're going to get your engaging gameplay going after Scrooge and McDuck's vault sitting on the side of Gila right now.
Don't you think the whales are going to get bored?
Very quickly.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
yet
I've
they're
slept.
focused on the whales.
I guess it depends
Yeah.
on the level of whaling that they really are doing. You know,
Mhm.
people are going to define whaling at different levels. I mean, to me, $1,000 is out of this world. Like, my wife would kill me if she went into my hangar and was like, "You have $1,000 worth of shit on here." She would not be happy. Now, to other people, $1,000 is, meh. I did it over 10 years. It's not a big deal. Or, $1,000. I make, you know, I make $8,000 a month, so it's not that big of a deal. So there's different levels of whaling, and I also think with those different levels of whaling comes different levels of when you hit that boredom, you know, because
Yeah.
at the top you're going to have everything. At the lower parts of the the $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000, it sounds like an astronomical amount of money to me, but when you dial it into what ships are available and whatnot, that you're not really getting that many ships. I mean, depending on how you spent it, you know, you go $5,000 in. Okay, you could have a Javelin, an 890, an A2, and like one or two other ships, and that's it. That's all
How
you
many
got.
of those can you do solo too? If you're a whale doing solo, you can't get a hammerhead.
Yep.
Not right now. Not until they get the AIs in.
Yeah. So, I guess I got 3 more questions because I know we can talk this stuff out for a while. How do you guys feel about the? I guess it would be the last month and a half. CIG has really shown. This is going to be a controversial way I word the question, but CIG really seems to have made a really big grab for wallets lately. Do you feel that that's something that what I'm saying is true-ish? And if so, do you feel that maybe funding is really lacking this year?
I'll go first. Yeah. I do. And I also perceive it as though they seem more intent lately on getting the funds coming in from the consumers. Uh I think well, I mean no one can really know unless you're in the upper tiers of that company, but it seems like maybe they've made some decisions and they're like, "Oh crap, you know, we got this money coming in. We made 500 million by this time. Our yearly sales are about this much. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We can afford to do this. We can afford to buy this company, no problem." And then for whatever reason, it may be the very rough start of this year with the development and stuff like that. A lot of backers that would normally say, "Hey, sure, no problem. I'm going to spend $500 this year in Star Citizen," are like, "Maybe I'll just wait until CitizenCon." And I think maybe they are seeing the effects of that because I know for me, I said, "You know what? I'm done. I'm done. No more. I will continue to be a monthly subscriber because I want to support Jared and their crew for making the videos." And honestly, that's the only reason why I'm a monthly subscriber.
As a new player, I don't find myself caring as much because I don't have a buy-in. I haven't spent as much time as you guys have, but I imagine if you spent years and all of a sudden they're giving you the middle finger, you'd be a little upset.
Yeah.
All right. So let's throw a little bit of theory crafting here.
Mhm.
So their business has been growing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at what point does the marketing team separate from the community team?
Um,
When does the marketing team get bigger push than the community team? And how are their communication lines set up? Because it could be that one hand isn't talking to the other, and so that we're seeing a bigger grab from wallets from the marketing team, and then we air our griefs with the community team, and the community team knows that they don't have any say on it, but we push back on them, so they catch our flack, and then the community team just gets tired of hearing it. They start removing posts and stuff like that, knowing that they can't do anything about it except try to hide the negativity away that the marketing team has brought in.
I feel we're already at that point. That point that you've described, I feel that we're already there.
Because we see that with several companies where the higher ups will sit there and they'll go, okay, yeah, cool, this profit report looks really nice. And they haven't heard anything from the community team because the community team isn't the one bringing in the money.
Yeah.
So at what point does someone higher up start giving more influence to the marketing team, and the marketing team just starts to run rampant?
I think we've hit that point, to be honest. And look, what I'll use what Pagan said the other day in his post getting deleted. That was pretty tame compared to some of the stuff that I've seen on there get banned for or get deleted for or get suspended for. That's pretty tame what I saw.
Yeah.
I really do believe that, you know, marketing is well within their right to delete his post. That's their thing. They can do that. I'm not going to argue that. I think it's scummy, but I think it's their site. They can do with it how they want to. But here's my thing. You are absolutely right. Marketing, or I did a video on this a few weeks ago. Business leaders, as they sat down and discussed, are the ones that are making the calls, and then the developers have to react to that. The community team and the developers are getting pinched into this impossible position to where the business leaders are asking, or marketing, whatever you want to call them, is pushing them in one direction, and the backers and the fans are getting upset about it, and they're pushing back. But the only people that have Twitter accounts, Spectrum accounts, go into live streams, get in front of the cameras with Jared, are the developers and the community team. So they're getting absolutely they're just getting squished into this impossible situation where they can't keep the fans happy, and marketing seems to want more. And that's just how I view it. I try not to ever go after the community team or the devs and say it's your guys' fault that this is not working, or this didn't get added in, or you guys are being dickheads on Spectrum for deleting posts. I get it. They are absolutely between a rock and a hard place, and they got nowhere to go. That's my 2 cents.
They're just people trying to do their jobs
as
best they can.
Yeah, agreed.
I think, and sorry for hogging up the airwaves, but I really think marketing is to blame for a lot of the stuff that's been going on lately, and I feel that they deserve most of the flack that has been thrown at the community team and at the developers. But it's the fans and the backers aren't going to the right people. They're seeing somebody, and I see it all the time on Twitch. You know, a developer will get into somebody's channel, Grumpy, Salties, Burks, anybody, and people will notice that they're there, and they start lobbing stuff at them. Why didn't you do this? Why is this like this? Why is that like this? They're doing their job. But if marketing tells them, hey, you got to do it this way so that we can get money, or we need this release before this so we can get more money, they're doing that. And that's their job. They have to listen to whoever's above them. I mean, we all have a boss, unless you're retired. We all have a boss.
The people that sign their paychecks.
Right. And if they want the money, marketing's going to get them the money, and they have to do what marketing asks them to do so that they can get the money to get the paycheck. But then the fans, I don't think fans really and backers really take into account that it's not the developer's fault that most of the stuff is the way it is right now.
Are backers shareholders? Don't they have a say?
Technically, we're not considered shareholders. We just gave them money and said, here, use it, have fun.
It falls under the like kickstarting kind of deal, where this is.
Yeah. The South African guy may be a shareholder. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how that agreement worked out, but I'm sure he gets some sort of say. I don't know how much he put in, but I'm sure he gets some sort of say. But that's also like being like, oh, I spent $1 billion getting into this company, but you only own 5% of it, so you only get a 5% say.
A 5% say might be pretty big, because usually it's
Yeah.
under 1% of what's owned. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
but
well. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I was trying
yeah,
to go
yeah,
for.
yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
Yogi, the guy developing or helping to develop the vehicle experience and the ship-to-ship combat and all of that, he's not the guy that decided that they were going to make a new ship this year and sell it to you for $200. Don't be mad at Yogi.
yeah, he's
Because I'm sure they would like to focus on one ship at a time, get it crafted and out the door for you to enjoy,
Gold standard.
rather than get it 75% of the way and then get told, oh hey, no, you guys need to push this ship out
mm-hmm.
because we're seeing a higher interest in this ship right now, so it needs to be pushed out the door now.
Yeah.
And so then we get ships that come out that are half functional because they got rushed out the door
Yep.
at the last minute.
Mhm.
And I mean, it hits a different vibe than what it did earlier, where ships would come out, and I mean, it was early in the game, but you had a pretty much functional ship.
Mhm.
And when
I
you
remember,
report the bug on the community saying, "Hey, I can't drag this component in and out," you got a problem. They just ignore it or they close the post down.
Well,
I'm-
components in general right now. John Crew and the rest of the vehicle development team were doing the Invictus Roundtable. They said that a lot of the legacy ships aren't up to date with how they build ships now. And he was talking about the wardens, for example. There's components. So when you go up to the cockpit, you know how there's those little stairs and then a railing on each side. There's components on either side of that railing. The problem is they're talking about tractor beaming components in and out of ships. The problem is you can't pull the component off of either side of that ship because it hits the railing, and you can't
Yep.
pull it through the railing. And that's an older legacy ship. And then he was also talking about, I forget what other ship he was talking about, the component door, like accordion style opens, but it doesn't open up all the way because the person that did the scaling, who is no longer at the company, was given one direction and then told another direction and then told this is the final product. So that's what he did. But it is this too short to fit that
Mhm.
component out. So there's a
My-
lot of little things that go into ships that we don't get to see until
Mhm.
we break them, basically.
Well, my
And
point
go
is,
ahead.
is marketing saying, "Oh, we only want new ships with the new standards, and we don't care to go back and fix the old stuff because we don't want to fix the old stuff. We just want new stuff so we can sell it."
Um, I'll take this one because not that I've been around for a while, but this is my view. I think marketing. Let me rethink that. Morphologists sat down and took what they said is the average amount of hours to work on capital ships, and he did some bar napkin math and figured out that, and this was last IAE, so 2022 IAE, he figured out that it would take them 42 years worth of labor to go back and redesign, rework,
Wow.
gold standard, and get ships out like the Endeavor, the Pioneer, the Polaris, the Apollo, the Banu, and so on down the line. It's 42 years worth of labor to get all that stuff out. Now, that sounds in your head like an insurmountable amount of time, but playing devil's advocate, if they weren't working on Squadron 42, they would have far more resources to build that stuff out.
Exactly.
So
10 people 4 years instead of one person 42 years.
yes, exactly. So it's achievable. It sounds astronomical and ridiculous when you hear that number, but it is an achievable number with a small team. But that you have to have the resources to have a small team. But if those resources are being diverted to Squadron 42, you don't have anybody working on that stuff. And it's easier for them right now. And this is just my opinion. You guys feel free to answer how you wish, but it's easier for them to make a ship now that they have their standards and they have their SOPs written and ready to go. It's easier for them to right now make a new ship, put it through all its paces, get it through white box, gray box, the go no go phase, and have everything work the way it's supposed to, the way they want to, how it's going to interact with hull munching, component swapping, physical damage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all down the line, and get that out to you now than it is, and I hate saying this, than it is to go all the way back to the drawing table, take a new one of the older ships, the way it was scaled, the way it was designed, the way it was packaged up and sold to you, and put that on the table and go through that right now than it is, as I said, just make a new ship. At least that's what it feels like to me. Maybe you backers have a differing opinion.
The Hull C is a prime example of that. The Hull C, we've been promised that. How many times have we seen that come on to the release candidate then disappear again?
It's been a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, 42 years, resources diverted to Squadron 42, but they still have to keep Star Citizen's interest alive and well, because that's where their money's coming from. Because right now, Squadron 42 isn't paying for anything.
You can't even buy Squadron 42 right now.
Because, they have to have resources diverted to Squadron 42, which is pretty much a pit for them. But if they don't deliver on Squadron 42, then they don't deliver on their backing promise, which opens them up to a whole nother bag of worms.
Well,
so
when they good, I'm sorry.
If they don't get Squadron 42 out, then you have the old backers that have I'm not getting the thing that I was promised. That becomes an issue. So they do have to divert the resources to Squadron 42. It needs to get out the door so that we can have the resources diverted back to the universe. So.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a priority, at least for the upper echelons like Roberts and other Roberts, that Squadron 42 at least brings some money into the game. Because right now you can't even buy it in the pledge store. Right. For years you could spend $25 or $45 to buy SQ42, but now it's not even available. I don't even want to think about why it's not available right now. But so yeah, I'm sure you're right. Like, hey, we need funding from this. Let's get it out the door.
Once it's out, it becomes a profit line in its own right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
A product.
And it will feed back the interest into Star Citizen.
Jim, Squadron 42, do you want it? Yay or nay? Are you gonna get it? Do you want to play it? Is I guess my question.
Yeah, and that's just because the way I like playing. I like playing by myself, and Squadron 42 is going to be like a solo game, from what I understand. So yeah, I would get it.
Okay, Raven,
but other people might not, because
Raven?
they don't like solo play.
Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry. Raven, how about you? You want the Squadron 42? You want to play it?
I would definitely like to play it. It hits along that vein of any single player game that I pick up that has multiplayer attached to it. I'll play the campaign first before I even touch the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Because I just like to be able to understand things. There's some people that pick up Call of Duty and never play the campaign. They just go straight into the multiplayer. So they've only ever played half their game.
How about you, Pagan?
I have more interest in seeing Squadron 42 released for what it means for Star Citizen PU than I have interest to play it. Will I play it? Oh, yeah. I'll definitely play it. And I'll definitely talk to my friends about how hard this level was, and I just couldn't figure out how to kill this guy, and I couldn't get past him, and I didn't know about the air vent. But I have more vested interest in what it means for Star Citizen than I do for engaging gameplay at this time. Maybe that'll change if they release an updated, an updated demo reel, and I'm like, holy crap, that looks freaking awesome. Let's play that.
I'm kind of in your boat, Pagan. Like, yeah, it'll be cool when it comes out, because then that means more stuff is going to PU, and we're getting the resources from Squadron 42 and the assets that they built and all of that. But as far as playing it, that'll be one of those things where it's like, oh well, the internet's down. I don't know what to do. Oh, Squadron 42 sitting here. I'll play that for a few hours. That's kind of how I look at it. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game or anything like that. I'm a child of the 90s, so I grew up playing TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Descent. I'm trying to Wing Commander 1, 2, and 3. So I grew up playing all those games. So it would be cool to I mean, I don't mind taking a trip down memory lane, but at the same time, give me my damn PU, man. Just give me my damn PU.
Was
We
that
want our
because
40
you guys,
developers instead of one.
Yeah.
is that because you guys have buy-in into the PU because you've put so much time into it that you love it? What'll happen with like a new player to just play Squadron 42? Will they want to go into the PU afterwards?
I
I
hope
think they
so.
will.
Yeah.
My and I don't want to speak for everybody, but my thing is ever since the introduction of online games where you could play, I don't mean co-op, with each other. I mean like playing some of these MMOs, a lot of oh my dear Lord, MMOs. It becomes less about the game. I mean, the gameplay is still important and the story within the game is still important to me, but not as important as the interacting with other players, the trading, the PvP, the crafting, the bumping into somebody out in the wild and being like, "Oh, you look pretty messed up. You need a hand? Oh, you need help with that boss over there? Oh yeah, no problem. I can solo him for you. You just make sure you got the quest. Things like that." And I've met a lot of friends playing games like that where I jumped into a game solo because none of my other buddies were on, and I randomly happened across somebody that was, getting ganked by other players or couldn't beat this world boss or help, I'm dying, I ran out of water and food and I can't get back to town, can you help me? Yeah, sure. And it turns into a friendship from there, or somebody that you can reliably trade with because he's into this part of the game that you're not really going over to too often, whether it's another part of the world or it's a more industrial thing or a more PvP oriented thing. And you can be like, "Oh, hey, you've been collecting those things? Oh, you have been? Oh, cool. I'll trade you this for that so I can make this thing," or whatever it may be. It's the interaction for me, and that's what keeps me coming back to the PU. It's not so much for me. It's never been, "Oh, this ship came out," or "I just bought this ship," or it's never been about that for me. It's always been, what sort of thing am I going to do to interact with players today? And whether it's with my friends or whether it's with some stranger that I randomly met.
What memories can I make, and what adventures can I go on?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's not because I don't like single player games. It's not it at all. It's just the ability to, like Raven said, make friends and go on adventures, make memories about that. You know, Last night's a perfect example. There's no mission to go throw basketballs at somebody's face.
No.
Where did that come from? Hey, Canop, what's up, man? What are we gonna do this Friday? I don't know. If there's this place you can get basketballs, you want to throw them at each other? You want to make it an event? Yeah. And you saw what?
How many people joined us last night that just wandered in, poof. Some rando popped in and started throwing basketballs, and well, I won't give it all away, but it escalated.
Oh yeah, it escalated big time, and it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Someone brought grenades.
Nobody made money. Nobody made rep.
We lost money.
Oh yeah, nobody made money. Nobody made rep. There was no golden cup handed to somebody at the end of it saying that you're number one. It was just a damn good time, and as I said before, my face still hurts from laughing.
Well, you got to go with it sometimes. I got arrested at All-Star by those police RPG
Oh
guys.
yeah.
They pulled me over and said, "Hey, you need to walk the line. We're going to make sure you're not drunk." So I played along.
I'll share that video with you later, Pagan. They caught it on video and he got it, and it's on YouTube. So yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny.
Nice.
So before I go, and wrap this all up, are you guys, two-part question, I guess. Are you happy with the game right now? And is the future bright? Is it slightly cloudy? Is it looking like rain? That's the question. That's the question. Whoever wants to go first.
I'm now with the game than I was 8 months ago.
Okay.
I see progress. I see. As long as I continue to see progress, I'm going to be optimistic. So, I mean, yes, I get upset when they make decisions that I personally disagree with, or I feel disrespect your long-term backers. But as long as they're making progress, and as long as I know that they've got developers out there that are actively working on missions, actively working on bringing gameplay loops, and I hope somebody there, please, is working on the data missions. Please, somebody spawn data missions. That poor Harold has been sitting there for years with dust on her.
My
Hey,
Star Runner too.
that Herald has saved me from an unfortunate spawn before. So when
Oh, that's
Area
true.
18 when Area
That's
18 had its was spawning ships wrong in the hangars and they were blowing up, that ship was the only ship small enough that I could get it to spawn in the hangar without blowing up to take me away from Area 18.
That's
So
funny.
I remember that.
yeah,
That's funny.
That was
I,
crazy. But that's a memory that you have and you will
yeah,
probably cherish forever.
that tiny little Herald saved me.
Harold to
So,
the rescue.
so Pagan, before we get to the next guy, is the forecast, like I said, is it bright and sunny? Is it partly cloudy? Is it rainy?
If Knight Rider would stop deleting my post, it'd be sunnier.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Jim, how about you? How about you, sir?
I
It,
totally agree. That's the reason why I got in when I did. Like I said, I signed up in 2014, but I didn't buy in until just recently, until I started seeing what they've been doing. It's like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see persistence. I want to see crafting. I want to see, all the stuff that they've just been adding recently. So yes,
and I'm going to assume, since you're still in the just got married phase, that the future is bright and sunny for you.
yeah, I think it's bright and sunny.
Okay. Raven, how about you?
This game has made a lot of progress from where it started out at, which is really saying something. I mean, it could have been left at Port Al Azhar, where I was going to quantum travel and just exploding mid quantum travel. So, I mean, that's a big leap. That's a huge leap. And now we've got all these different areas. We've got bunker missions that never existed. So, I mean, it's hit a point where if I start having a bad day, I'll just shelf the game for a little bit. I'll come back when there's something new. And there's always something new coming out around the corner. So, I mean, it is moving slow, but progress is being made.
So
As slow as it might be right now, progress is being made.
so I'm going to probably sound like the entitled millennial I'm supposed to be, because apparently I'm a millennial by 6 months. I didn't know that, and I was
No,
actually
you're honorary Gen X.
I
You're
was
honorary Gen X, buddy.
I was gonna say I was actually, like, I was an hourly depressed, but on the inside I'm like, God, son of a bitch, I'm a millennial. Oh no, oh no. But um I have a lot of ups and downs with this game. There are days that I just, if there was a physical copy of this, I probably would have pulled it out of my CD-ROM and thrown it out the window, only to an hour later run outside, pick it up, and stuff it back in and turn it back on. Um, so I'm happy with the game most days, and I think it's because I only get to play like 2 or 3 times a week that keeps it more fresh than it was even, say, 6 months ago for me. But yeah, I will say I'm happy-ish with the current gameplay. The 30Ks and some of the other people don't view them as game breaking, but because of the stuff that I like, that I enjoy in the game, the invisibility bugs and the desync really keeps me from enjoying my particular gameplay. You know, Pagan got to experience it a week ago or 2 weeks ago, however long ago it was. He joined in my style of gameplay, and we were having a great time until an invisible player showed up. And when we were saying in chat that he was invisible, it was basically cry more. And
Yeah.
that's That's not
Mhm.
that's not good gameplay. I don't. I said it on stream. I'll say it here. I've said it in post. I don't mind getting my ass whooped in a fight. It's gonna happen. Like, I'm not the best pilot in the game. I'm not the best ground FPS guy in the game. Can I hold my own in both? Yeah, I can. I'm not gonna cry and bitch if somebody shoots me down or somebody snipes me from 1,200 meters out. It's part of the game. I died. So what? When you're using invisibility or desync to your advantage to beat me because you can't beat me, I don't. It sucked the life out of that entire gaming session. It
Yeah.
really did. Now back to CIG. I'm right now at a crossroads because I guess I feel that CIG has crossed some moral lines here in the last few months to a year that really kind of upsets me. And maybe it's Chris, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's whatever business leaders or boardroom members that they have over there that are really making the calls. But I just didn't think that this was going to be what Chris Roberts had envisioned as far as trying to get money from people. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. But I just never thought, and I'm going to use what me and Marcus and the rest of the crew call him. I never thought Christ Roberts would be asking me to double dip into my pocket just to play the PTU. Like, I just didn't. I really didn't. And yeah, people will be like, well, wait for Wave 5. But that goes against what you were saying the last time we did this with 318. You wanted more people to play, but now you're kind of locking it behind either paying for it or paying for it. And I don't like that. And the whole armor thing, I just,
Yeah.
Christ Roberts, I don't think would want something like that. Maybe he got vetoed. You know, I've been trying to put this in ever since I made that rant video. I don't want to retract what I said in that rant video, but at the same time, like, I've been thinking on it a little bit more. I hate to repeat myself over and over again. I just don't think this is what Christ Roberts envisioned for how to get their money for this Kickstarter, for the longevity of the project and the continuation of the project. It doesn't feel right to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel. I mean, if any of you guys want to counterpoint me, please do. I'm willing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your guys' opinion. I just feel that a moral line has been crossed a lot in the last couple of, I'd say since like December-ish of last year.
Yeah.
I have a question for you because I honestly want to know the answer, and it isn't for content. It's just like one SC backer who loves the game to another SC backer who's maybe like struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that maybe Chris isn't the one that made that decision? Do you think maybe it's somebody else who just like, hey, you have to do it this way, or you're not getting any more funding, or we're shutting you down?
I am hoping it's that. I really am.
Me too.
Raven and Jim, Pagan, I think you've heard this story before, but Raven and Jim, look, Chris Roberts kind of is I don't want to say a role model, but kind of like a, what's the word I want to use? He was a icon of my childhood. I grew up playing his games. Believe it or not, I'm one of the few people that when I was younger was like, Wing Commander the movie? Hell yeah, let's go see that. Oh, it was terrible? Screw you. I'm going to go see it again. I'm paying my $9 in the theater and I'm watching it again on the big screen. I was one of the few people that did that. Why? Because it was Chris Roberts and it was Wing Commander. And then we got other games by him and I've enjoyed almost all of them immensely. And you know, I heard about the Kickstarter and back then I was like, I'm not doing the Kickstarter thing because I'm not sure where it's going to end up. It could be a scam. It could fail before it even takes off. And then it kind of took off, but I kind of stopped following it at that point. And then all it took, a friend of mine at work kept taking his cell phone. Have you guys seen that skit from Family Guy where it's like, look at my kids, and he unfolds the wallet and he's like, look at my kids, look at my kids. My friend was doing this to me. Oh, look at my phone. Look at what you can do. Look, it's right there. look at this thing,
Mhm.
look at this video. And I was like, yeah, okay, it's cool. And then it kept going. And I'm like, what game is that? Oh, Star Citizen. Look, I just bought the X-Wing. Look at this thing. It's so cool. And I'm like, X-Wing, huh? And I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then he shows me a video of actual, like, him actually playing the game. And his buddy low flies so close to him that he's standing on the ground and the wings of the X-Wing go right past him. And
Hmm.
I was like, that was freaking cool. You can do that in game? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, who makes this game? It's like, you know who Chris Roberts is? I'm like, yep, I'm going home. I'm putting my credit card on there and I'm buying the game. That's all it took. All it took. If he would have led with Chris Roberts, I would have bought it 3 weeks earlier. I wouldn't have even had to look at the pictures anymore. I would have just bought it. So I hold Chris Roberts in a high regard, and I just hope that this is not what he has wanted, and maybe, like Pagan said, he's being told that he has to do this to keep money coming in and things like that. But it feels so wrong sometimes.
Yeah, I think we want CIG to succeed. If we didn't, we would vote with our pocketbooks. We would go melt our ships and close our accounts today.
Go sell my ships on the gray market. Just
Yeah.
be done and be washed of it.
I want to see them succeed.
I'll be honest, that thought has crossed my mind more than 3 times in the past 48 hours.
Well, my
Right.
fear is that they're going down the road of Atari, that they're becoming corporate and just doing it all about the numbers and not caring about the game.
But go ahead, Raven, please.
It hits that point of where Star Citizen started with a smaller group, and it's grown into a business. When it comes to businesses, I try not to hold any hard feelings against any of the people that are there because they're doing their job. And a lot of the jobs might not align with like the founder's views. And so you can't really hold it against the founder because he could have been pushed so far up that chain that it's just a game of telephone for what his vision is down to the bottom of the employees and the devs and the marketing team. And each of them have their own marching orders. So I mean, at some point you can't really hold hard feelings to a business. You just kind of have to go, they got me. They got me on the hook for.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I do enjoy the game. But at some point it's a let's wait and see where this goes. Because I mean, Baldur's Gate just came out. I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I was playing it when it was in beta. It had so many bugs when it was in beta, but I was like, let's just wait and see where this goes.
Now, did it have so many bugs, or are you just used to Star Citizen and it had not as many bugs?
It had a lot of bugs. Like cutscene camera angles just pointing off into the middle of nowhere is interesting how many bugs it had.
Pagan, what
I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I'm dealing with system computer bugs from where I've just built my new system and I'm just having like random blue screens happen. So I mean, it's a level of patience just across the board with a lot of things that I have. But Star Citizen, it would be more irritating to me if it was just a bunch of bugs, but there wasn't any forward progress. We're seeing forward progress, so I can just kind of waylay some of the bugs in my mind. Just kind of like growing pains. Because
is it more than progress with what they're doing recently? Because that's not really progress. They're just restricting people and saying, "Hey, you must have a prescription."
I haven't really seen anything about that, so that's kind of just gonna sit on the wayside for me. Which I mean, people will vote with their pocketbooks when it comes to stuff like that, and we've been seeing it with a lot of businesses now. I mean, look at where some of the alcoholic beverage industry has gone, and look at how the market shares have changed on that with people voting with their books.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a thing that will happen when people are dissatisfied, and if they pull a move too hard, they'll probably have to backtrack on some stuff.
Pagan, what are your thoughts on?
Well, you were talking, and then Raven said something, and two of those neurons connected. Recently, it is my understanding that recently they procured and absorbed the game company in Canada,
Yeah, Turbulent.
Turbulent. Now, they have a long relationship with Turbulent, but Turbulent, sorry, speech impediment kicking in. It used to be, from my understanding, way back in the day, they were contracted in to kind of help with the website and help build some database and some connectivity. And it seems like the relationship and the dependency of Cloud Imperium Games, I almost said clown, Cloud Imperium Games on Turbulent has grown and grown and grown and grown to more.
Yeah,
And since they have, what?
Didn't they build out the racetracks and the timing and all of that for that?
And Lorville too.
Yeah.
And Lorville.
Yeah.
And Pyro, places in Pyro. But my hope is that since they have this successful company that used to kind of give them some help from time to time and take money from Cloud Imperium and provide a product to them, to having a long-standing relationship, maybe, and we are seeing more people from this company, Canadian company, spend time in the UK. Remember Jared said during a couple of those shows that, oh, he's been spending some time here and the rest of the crew's going back to Montreal, I believe it was, but this person's staying for a while. Maybe what's happening is that Chris is taking some direction and some suggestions and some advice from Turbulent, because they obviously know how to do their stuff and do their stuff well. Maybe he's getting some, well, I don't want to say tutelage because it infers that he's not as smart, but maybe he's getting some suggestions and some input and some guidance from this company, enough where he said, okay, we want to make them a part of us and take on. This might turn out to be one of those marriages of convenience that blossoms and creates a nice new love child that we all like. I mean, let's hope.
I hope so. You know, I hate being so hard on CIG. I mean, especially as a new backer, because you guys have gone through far more shit than I have. It's just, like I said, like for me, it's just the, like we were talking with the money thing. It sometimes to me seems like it's borderline unethical and immoral sometimes, some of the stuff that they do, and it kind of aggravates me. I'm not asking every company to be, you know, pristine saints, but you know, I try to play this for entertainment, and maybe sometimes I should just take a step back from digesting all of this, and ingesting and digesting all of the news cycles of Star Citizen. Maybe sometimes I need to just turn off guys like Board Gamer and Eradicator, and even though he's my friend, sometimes grumpy because you know, sometimes maybe I need to be in the dark a little bit more and just enjoy the game.
Well,
So this,
go ahead, Raven, please.
just to fill in some of my knowledge gap here, this this pace scaling that's going on, is this affecting the persistent universe, or is this affecting the waves coming in for the test universe?
It's affecting the test universe. Now,
Okay.
is it just the test universe that has me upset? No, it's been other things like the armor fiasco 6-7 weeks ago. Now, for me, it's not a big deal, but for newer players during Foundation Festival, and you're putting these armor packages and weapon packages, and you're attaching them to starter packages. So like you click here, you buy the starter package, and it gives you a prompt, hey, do you want to buy this career kit for $10? You get a multi-tool, you get a matching armor set and a little gunny thing, and it's pretty cool. You might want it, you might need it, you should buy it. But the newer players don't know that if you die out in deep space or you die in a bunker or whatever, the chances of you getting that back are very slim, mostly due to bugs and glitches. You know, your body could sink into the planet. There's no way to set a beacon back to your ship out in, well, depending on what happened, there's no way to set a beacon for your body out in deep space. You could die in a hangar crashing. We know that you're supposed to get your stuff back into your inventory if you die in a hangar, but how many times have we died in a hangar and the stuff that you had on got gobbled up by the Matrix and it's not there anymore? And that was my biggest issue, was why are you putting this on a website and prompting newer players to buy this stuff when they don't know that they're that this is basically a 1 hour wear? Or if they're brand new to the game and have never played it, it's until you hit the top of your hangar wear and it's gone, you know. And that to me was where there was a few other things prior to that. You know, the Vulture. I still have my big qualms with the Vulture. It's been in the game for damn near a year. Yeah, almost. We're going in 4 months. It'll have been a year that it's been in, and it's still not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the only way that could solve the armor issues with the career packs would be to kind of lob it in underneath the insurance, so that they could reclaim it
But
later on.
then does it become
Yeah.
pay to win then? Because now you got armor that you can get back all the time.
I
I mean,
it's either well,
my argument back is it's really easy to, you know, run a box mission or two, and you've got a full set of armor, and
yeah.
the first few box missions you're not going to run into any bad guys. It's just going to be pick up this box, deliver it to that spot, pick up that
They
box.
should have sold it as paint.
It also hits that realm of defining what win is.
Yeah.
What is win? Or is it just a time saving measure? Oh, I can just go grab this and I've got it.
Yeah. And the Vulture, December, halfway through December is when the Vulture premiered in Evocati. And then it was first week or second week of January, it was in Wave 1 PTU, and it's still not available to buy in game.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
That's right.
To think about?
Ask every time. Is it available yet?
It's
Yeah.
I mean, most people would think by 3/19 it would have been out, because that would have been it would have been 4 months at that point.
Well,
That's
I have
true.
other problems with the Vulture. You can't buy the dishes at dumpers. So if you break the dish off on the front of your on the front of your Vulture, you have to pull it out and do insurance fraud to replace the dish. It's not done yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And they
Mhm.
said that they designed it wrong for munching, so they have to redo munching to fit the
Yeah, there's
Vulture,
that
which
too.
is, it's weird. I don't want to get too far into it again, but it's like, so you designed a ship, you threw it on the website, and people bought it, and then you're introducing the second half to salvage, but now you're telling us that you have to redo the second half of salvage so that it fits the ship that you designed to do the salvage. It doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't sit right with me that you would do that sort of thing. And it goes back to what we were all just talking about 5 minutes ago. Is it marketing pushing this out, or is it who's doing what here that's making them do these things? And then John Cruz got to come up on the ISC and be like, well, Jared, we designed this ship this way, but now let me get the mission guy on here. Munching doesn't work. We have to redesign it because the ship wasn't designed for it. It's really weird. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
And the Vulture's an old ship. I can remember seeing the Vulture back in 2019.
Oh, really?
She's old.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe it's one of those things where I love this game a lot and I want to see it succeed, that maybe I hold it to a higher standard than I do other games, because I don't want to Call of Duty. If I wanted Call of Duty, I just go buy Call of Duty. You know, if I wanted Eve, I just go get Eve. You know, this is something entirely different, and I guess maybe I love it so much that I hold it up here and I expect it to meet up here, but it is only getting here.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's my issue. I don't know.
Raven, you got something to say, buddy?
Once it hits up closer to full release, and it's at full release, that's when I'll start to have like bigger gripes with the game, and in the marketing pushes and stuff like that. Because then I have a little bit more like, okay, here's your finalized vision. I can see what you're going for. Why are you doing this? Right now, it's kind of in that fog area where it's just like, I can't really hold anything to anybody right now. Once it's at a final push, or the end has been stuck in the ground for the game, that's when I'll start to have my gripes.
Okay.
The other thing is the ship munching. Were you guys talking about the Reclaimer or the Vulture?
The Vulture.
Okay, the Vulture.
Yeah. I mean, they showed it a little bit with the Reclaimer, but they were really, because, and I'm sure CIG did it on purpose, more people have access or the ability to buy the Vulture than they do the Reclaimer. What is the Reclaimer, $350?
Something like
Yeah.
that. That was
400.
275.
Oh, it's 400. Yeah, more
Oh, the
people.
reclaimer. Yeah, the
Yeah,
reclaimer's 400. Yeah.
more people have access to the Vulture than they do anything else. And then when it does come into game, people are going to have. It's going to be like what 2.5 million, I think they said, somewhere around there, 2.5, 2.8, something like that. It's going to be easier to access, so people are going to be using that. So they showcased it
Yeah.
in the ISC for hull munching, and I, once again, standard, and this is where they came on that. I just, it was really hard to watch that ISC. I don't even like salvage that much, and I was just sitting there going, man, everybody I know that does salvage, they have got to be pounding on their desk going, what the fuck is this?
It would have been better if they'd had a little guy EVA out there and place like a mining gadget on it and then run, well, not run, but swim away quickly and have the ship explode. That would have been a better experience than what we saw.
I have a problem with the claw. I think that they make things beautiful first and functional later, and I don't see how the claw is going to work.
I don't either. I'd
It's
love to
supposed
see
to
it
clamp
work.
on and cut. It's supposed to clamp on because, trust me, we've done a lot of salvage. And a lot of that time you're just drifting around waiting on a box, looking at the underneath side of the reclaimer and going, one day, what if? And I think it was Moon and Sliver found it that on the claw, it's supposed to clamp down, and there are two little baby T-Rex arms that come out with like laser cutting tools on them. And it's supposed to like cut on either side of the claw. So like basically you would clamp on the side of like an Idris or an 890 or something massive like that. And then the two little T-Rex arms would cut, and it would give this chunk, this little nibble, the Pac-Man nibble out, and it could, I guess, shove it somewhere in the reclaimer and grind it to little tiny bits.
Well, if it's just to hold the ship in place while you cut it up, that's one thing. But I think people are expecting it to pull things in, and I don't
It's
think
supposed
that'll
to, and
work.
tractor beams, and tractor beams too.
Yeah, it's supposed to. You're supposed to be able to grab it and pull it in. They showed it on the ISC. They made like a gag thing where the claw came down and picked up the vulture. And yeah, like, I don't know. It would be really cool if it worked, but I have a feeling the first time that it works, Pagan's gonna fly out, grab onto something, and every ship in a 400-meter radius is gonna explode.
Yep.
Oh, memories. But
Another
earlier,
thing
go ahead.
that I appreciate about this is that they are doing all of this from scratch.
Yeah,
They're not going over to an asset pack and going, okay, we have the functionality for this. We can just have it function. And it just does the thing, and you're happy because you got your thing. This is all from scratch, and it has to be built up, and then it has to go through its shaky phase of, does this work? Does this not work? And as we move on through the timeline, things have changed, and things get outdated pretty quickly.
Unfortunately,
it looks pretty too while it's there.
Yeah. So I got to get going. I need to do some dinner, and then I have another engagement. So if you guys are willing to watch later, Jack Axton, Captain Dirty, and I are going to be having a sit down very similar to this in about 2 hours, I think it is.
About that, it's 6:00 my time now. So yeah, 2 hours, buddy. You need to get some dinner.
Yeah, I need to get some dinner and start this. So this is going to be kicking off. It's actually going to be kicking off at 8:00. So in an hour. Anybody got final words? Anybody
Yes, for you.
Yeah.
For you. As a backer who's been here for, well, you guys say I'm an old time backer, but I mean, I play with guys that have been here since 2012, 2013. What I would recommend and what they've told me is that whenever you find yourself in that situation where you're kind of like getting edgy about it, retreat a little bit. Like I used to watch everything Board Gamer made, everything that Hawks Gaming made, everything KJH made, anything out there, I would just ingest it or listen to it while I was working. And it got to a point fairly recently that I had to like, all right, I'm going to stop. So I don't watch every SCL anymore. I haven't even finished the last ISC. So I mean, if you find yourself in that position, Scart, I love you, man. I do. But I mean, if you find yourself in that position, maybe take a step back and like, okay, I'm going to watch 3 content producers this week instead of 8.
It isn't something that you have to constantly keep up with, because I mean it's going to be there.
I do
It's
it.
gonna be there for a while.
I do it for personal reasons, and I also do it
Mhm.
for.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional. This is fucking amateur hour every time I
Oh,
hit stream or record.
hey.
It just
I disagree
is.
with you on that.
It
I
just
disagree with you
is.
on that.
But I also do it for I want to create content and I want to talk to other people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People. I've been accused of I'm trying to do YouTube to just hit it big and make a ton of money, and it's not about that. I told my wife, if I can at one point make enough money from just ad revenue to put a tank of gas in my car, then I've accomplished my goal. Uh, I that's it.
Yep.
I don't need a lot to be happy. I get all of my enjoyment when I see my chat fill up with people that like hanging out and like discussing, whether it's the game we're playing or whatever
Mhm.
movies come out or comic book or whatever. I love sci-fi and a lot of the
Mhm.
popcorn culture that comes with it. So yeah. Jim, you got any?
I
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have to say that I respect that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Just have fun with it.
I'm not
That's
Shroud.
really all it is.
I'm not Shroud. I'm not
Oh,
Ninja. I'm not XQC or any of these guys, or I'm not trying to be one of those guys. I have a hard enough time.
yeah.
Pagan can't see it, but I'll join his Twitch and he'll be like, Scarred, how you doing? Blah blah blah. I saw that video you did. Shout out Scarred Citizen, and it's like, oh my god, and it's not a bad thing. It's just it's what is it called? Imposter syndrome. Like you don't feel like you
Oh.
should get the
It doesn't.
recognition that you're getting. You know what I mean?
It
Because
doesn't ever go away. It'll
so
always be there to some degree.
yeah.
Scarred Citizen was ejected from the ship.
You just gotta roll with it. You just gotta be the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
You just gotta have fun with it. People are gonna try to tear you down because I mean it's that crabs in the bucket kind of scenario. If they can't have what you have, they're gonna try to pull you back down to their level.
Yeah.
And it might not be that you're too far off that level. They want you down below their level.
Yeah.
And it's you really gotta just live with your own stuff and in your own means and just have your time to do what you want to. And sometimes you just gotta step back and try to see the forest through the trees
Yeah.
and just take a look at everything.
I think for me, Star Citizen is that forest, and I'm just trying to run through it as fast as I can and collect as much stuff as I can as far as like media and all of that, and then use it to my own personal knowledge, and then use it for something on YouTube or whatever. And it can get depressing. I guess it's just like watching the news every night, which is why I stopped doing that, because it's like 14 people died from cyanide poisoning, and then it goes to commercial, it comes back, and it's like, and the weather, 58 people died in this flood, and it's like, I don't want to
Yeah.
watch this. This is depressing. Show me the hot weather girl. Then you get the hot weather girl.
Mhm.
She's like, it's gonna rain tomorrow. Back to you, Bob. You're like,
It's like the amount of people in my ear anytime and they're like, "Oh, the Cuddy. Nobody likes the Cuddy. The Cuddy's such a bad ship. It doesn't fit into such and such roles." And I'm like, "You haven't loaded up with 64 missiles and just had a fucking time with it."
yeah,
Exactly.
It's like you just gotta take a break. Just sit there and enjoy some stuff.
yeah,
It's like the Cuddy. Yeah, it doesn't fill a whole lot of roles. But man, is it just nice to sit there and just walk around in and look at it and go, man, I really like the aesthetic of this ship. You just got to
Mhm.
find the things that you enjoy and just have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. I think doing like what we did last night, where you just go off the game loop and do
Mhm.
what you want to do and just have fun with it.
yeah.
Uh,
Jim,
Yeah.
you got any final words before we stop this?
I think that some of the YouTubers need to calm down, because especially Grumpy, because he was livid, and he's talking about selling his account, and it's like, no, just step away from it. Play Starfield for a little while. Everybody says Starfield is going to kill this game. It might just save the game, because it might have some people step away for a little while and calm down.
Mhm.
It might also have people just come and go, oh man, I played that really fun single player game that had spaceships that I could put together. What's
This is
another
true.
game that's similar to it? And then they go, "Oh, well, Star Citizen has a big multiplayer universe. I might give that a try." And so it
Mm-hmm.
might breathe new life into the game.
Very
I mean,
well
It
there's
said.
will.
there's all kinds of unexpected stuff that goes on, and there's a lot of stuff that we don't see behind the scenes of for creators and stuff. He might be going through something, and right then he's just like, I'm gonna vent it out on Star Citizen, because Star Citizen's the focal point of what I'm doing right now, and
Yeah,
so
I'm not. I will never speak for another content creator. I have I have the privilege of speaking to him behind the scenes and off the screen, and he's had
yeah,
a lot of stuff going on, and I
Mm.
think between that and he's also got stuff going on in the country that he lives in, which is,
Yeah.
it's not the a lot of people think he lives in the United States. He doesn't live in the United States. He lives in Serbia. Serbia's
Holy crap!
he said it, and
yeah,
I'll say it. Serbia's a corrupt shithole. You know, and the other thing that I don't want to bring politics and everything, but a lot of people don't understand. He's been alive for 37 years. I think he said it was his birthday the other day. Did you know that he's only moved? He told me he's only moved 15 city blocks from where he grew up from. But in the 37 years he's been alive, he's lived in 4 different countries.
Wow.
Wow,
So I
I
mean,
can't even relate.
you put all that together along with the stuff that's been personally going on, the things that goes on in his country,
Hmm.
and everything else, and then your content creator covering Star Citizen. Man, I'm surprised he hasn't put his fist through the monitor yet.
Yeah.
But I don't want to speak for him, and I'm not trying to down. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, we get that.
oh yeah,
Grumpy is a great guy. If he's a sweetheart, but I can understand why he's so frustrated right now. I get it. I totally 100% get it. There's a lot of times and I'm sure all of us here, whether it's work, whether it's getting on here for YouTube, whether it's whatever it is that you're doing, that you have to try to separate your personal life from your work or from the
Yeah.
screen
yeah,
or from whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I get that, and I struggle with it. There's a lot of times something goes on at home and I bring it with me to work, or something happens at work and I bring it home with me to the kids, and it's something we all struggle with.
yeah. It's hard to keep that level of separation, because I mean, the moment something starts to irritate you, and it's never a lot of big things. You might have one big thing that comes at a point. It's always the small things.
Yep.
The small things are what's going to push you over the edge, because they
Yeah.
pile up so much faster.
It's those little cuts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ah man, my toast was a little soggy today. Ah man, it's anything small.
Yep.
It's gonna sit there and get to you.
Yep. Raven, you got any final words? Any final words on your final words? No, I'm kidding.
My final words have final words.
I'm a Midwest boy.
Just
I could go right along with you.
yeah, you just it's a lot of opening up the philosophy, and not like being philosophical, but about everything. It's just, man, sometimes you gotta sit back and just ponder on some stuff. Just really, just really sit there and think. Don't go, well, this person's set in their way for this. It's, why are they set in their way for this? What's going on that's causing these things to happen around them? It's so I mean, if you take a step back and you look at what's going on with Star Citizen, you'll just got to keep an open mind and just look at what's the cause and effect for the things that are going on, because there's always stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't see,
Yeah. Well,
and it could
well,
be
yeah.
anything. And it happens with people. It could just be one person had a bad day. One person made a post for something that doesn't quite stand up to the company's values. You know, it's you gotta take everything kind of as it is and with a grain of salt. You can't just go, oh, it's bad, everything's spoiled.
Yeah.
One apple's ruined the bunch.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, guys, this has been a blast. I love doing this stuff. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Pagan, thank you so much for letting me host this on your Discord. This was awesome.
No, man, it's a community Discord, and I would dare say, I won't speak for Raven. I'll speak for myself. Bring it on. I am happy to jump into a round table with you and anyone else.
Cool. I appreciate that. Raven, I didn't expect you to be here, and I'm glad that you came in. I really am. This was a great conversation. And Jim, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know it was kind of last minute, but I feel that it's important. You know, I may be a little guy and may not have as big a reach as some of the guys that we've discussed throughout this, but I feel it's good for us to get this sort of stuff out to the rest of the Star Citizen community, and maybe hopefully somebody at CIG will watch this, or even just 5 minutes of it, and just kind of be like, you know what, these are, you know, this isn't what Morphologist is talking about. This isn't what Board Gamer's talking about. These are what the real players are talking about. This, you know, let's listen to them for a little while, and not maybe take all of our stuff as gospel, but just listen to what we have to say.
Well, it's speaking from the heart and not from trying to make a interesting tagline for a YouTube video. We're talking from the heart.
Yeah, I am.
I know you are. I know.
Raven, Pagan, Jim, you guys are awesome. But for me, that's it. I need to go and eat some dinner and get some liquid refreshment. And man, this was a good time, man. This was good. It was almost as good as throwing balls at each other's face.
Almost. I'm going to send you this recording so you can use any part of the VOD.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a great night.
You too.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.